Welcome to Film Strip. These podcasts are spoiler-filled as we discuss the plots, characters, and themes of the films in review. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504(c)(2), Title 17.
Welcome to Film Strip. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Ron.
And we are happy to welcome back to the show Carmelita Valdez-McKoy.
Hi, friends.
And Andy, action movie guy Gorham.
Hi, friends. I really got to change that. I just got to change it to just movie guy from now on. Because I'm more. I contain platitudes, not just action movies.
Well, everyone needs a shtick.
That's true, and I got a hell of a shtick. I'll tell you that much.
Well, we are here today to talk about an action movie, Conan the Destroyer, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Grace Jones, Wilt Chamberlain, Mako, Tracy Walter, Olivia Diabo, and Sarah Douglas, with Sven-Ole Thorsen and Andre the Giant, directed by Richard Fleischer. So let's get everyone's backgrounds with the movie here. Carmelita, let's start with you.
So we were big fans of Conan the Barbarian in our household. So, of course, we watched Conan the Destroyer. We watched it quite a bit, not as much as Conan the Barbarian. That definitely got more play. But we did see this here and there, watch it on TV, rent it every once in a while. I don't revisit it as much. We'll get into why. But I have like a fond, nostalgic feeling for this movie. My dog, Ruby, her full name is Ruby the Destroyer.
Excellent.
As an homage to Conan. And because she destroys things. So
Is she a tiny destroyer or a giant destroyer, though?
she is a smallish medium destroyer.
I was just thinking it'd be funny if it was a Chihuahua named Ruby the Destroyer.
No, she's a Boston Terrier mix, but she's on the big side. Whatever she's mixed with is a bigger dog.
Okay.
So she's like pure muscle and all barbarian.
Very
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Andy, what about you?
As I mentioned on the previous movie talk, I purchased the VHS for this movie at a church Christmas bazaar so our growing up, we had a school and church like combo thing, and so every Christmas they would like take all of the classrooms and turn it into this bazaar where like people could make wreaths and sell stuff, or local businesses could come in and try to, just make some extra cash and stuff. And I like I said, one of our local mom and pop video stores was like going out of business, so they were selling everything, and I was looking through them, and you see Arnold on the cover of that VHS holding that sword, and I was like, oh, that's got to be mine. And it was like $4 or $5, so I was like, sweet, that was right within Andy's allowance at that time. So I bought it without ever seeing it, went home, watched it immediately, and was just beyond thrilled. Of course, would go on later to see the original Conan, which totally blew me away. But this one does hold a special place in my heart for being the movie that introduced me to Conan, but also, the most bloodiest PG movie that I could have purchased from a church Christmas bazaar, which is a very bizarre story in and of itself. And I regret naming my dog Ewok after my love of Star Wars, because if I didn't, it would have been Crom, and he's a little sugar bear, and it would have been hilarious to have this little dog that I can pick up and carry with me and be like, hey, Crom, come here. And he'd just be like yiping away. So.
If you don't listen, to hell with you.
And he doesn't listen, so to hell with him every day.
Ron, you're up. What's your background with this one?
Oh, this is a TNT classic for me. They showed this, it seems like once a month on TNT. Sometimes with Conan the Barbarian as the lead-in. Sometimes this was the lead-in to Red Sonja. If you were really lucky, you got all three of them in the same night. And that was a good like 8 o'clock to 2 a.m. evening for me anyway. But yeah, I've seen this one a lot. I've probably seen this one more than Conan the Barbarian, just because, again, as a as a friendless child, I really liked movies where people stabbed things with swords and like barbarians did barbarian things, and and I've always been a fan of Mako. Probably for probably just because of the cool voiceovers in these movies that he does, like these introductions and these outros. Like, I was like, okay, this guy, I like this guy. He can just show up and do cool things. So yeah, that's it's a TNT staple before TNT got classy programming like AEW.
Well, you're not a friendless child anymore, Ron. You have friends.
Yes,
You're in good company.
Yes, I'm in good company with
Conan fans.
podcast pals and
Yeah.
Conan.
And wrestling buds.
Yeah. Well, this is another first for me, just like Conan the Barbarian. So I will provide that perspective. And now I wish I named my 105 pounds of muscle dog Zula instead of Bella.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Bella, she shall remain, I suppose.
Sure. Had you ever seen any clips of this? Because you mentioned with the last movie, you'd actually seen little bits here or there. Had you ever seen anything of this one?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember. I'm sure I feel like TNT played a lot of movies in the desert or the Badlands. Like
Yeah, they did.
they showed a lot of movies that had kind of the same setting, and they all kind of run together, and there were swords and beefy guys and other war play going on. So it all just kind of ran together for me. I'm sure I did see clips of it, but this was the first time I definitely watched it from start to finish well, that's not true. I did stop at one point to like work or do stuff like that adults do, but I picked it, but I know it was so stupid. It interrupted. Actually, when I started I went to finish watching it and I had 40 minutes left, and I went to finish watching it, and I swear I got interrupted every 3.5 minutes, and I was so mad. Like either my phone rang or my computer pinged or like the gas meter guy came by. There was something different every 3.5 to 10 minutes for the last 40 minutes of this movie, and I just wanted to watch the rest of the movie in peace.
So you got the same experience we all got watching it on TNT, Lindsay.
Yeah. I got
Interruptions every
commercial
break.
breaks. Yep.
3.5
Yes.
to 10 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly. So excellent. Well, Ron, before we get too far down the road of talking about this movie, why don't you kick us off with a little plot summary?
Well, once again, I have the help of ChatGPT, and it goes a little something like this. The Terminator gets protective duty for a precocious teenage virgin that the female Kryptonian wants to sacrifice so she can stop boning a statue and make it come to life. There's some mirrors and wizards, Grace Jones, and some more good music before the statue comes to life as a somehow more hideous Andre the Giant. Conan kicks its ass and leaves his deadweight crew to pee in the Virgin Queen's court so he could seek solo adventure to never be continued.
Oh,
And it's
That's
both
sad
my
but
heart.
accurate.
Yeah.
brutal but accurate because this is really a kind of a road movie where we're just going from one place to another and like kind of having adventures along the way. Although there's not really a road, so it's more of a dirt, sandy desert path movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So long story short, Dino De Laurentiis had some people who owed him favors in Mexico, and he made this movie happen.
With significantly more dialogue than
Yes.
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the movie's detriment, I think. But
This is a very different movie.
Yeah.
Incredibly different.
well,
I
guess people discovered that he could talk now, so they're like, well, let's just have him do some talking. It's one of the things that has always disappointed me about this movie is the fact that you swap out his previous companion for Tracy Walter, and there's no slight on Tracy Walter. He's done a whole bunch of movies of various quality, but as weird little parts. I mean, and
He's
Malik
Bob
is,
the Goon.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's Bob the Goon. Malik is perfectly fine as a character, but it's kind of missing something. He's not as much attitude, I don't think.
The chemistry's not really there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that kind of, it's more of an annoying chemistry. Like, why is Conan with this guy? It's like, it seems like something out of the Marvel comic books from that time, because I have read a couple now, not, when I was a kid, but there's always one issue where Conan gets saddled with this like annoying character where you're like, oh, he's stuck with this guy for 20 pages. Okay. That's kind of Malik. And I feel bad saying that because, again, I don't like to shit on anything or anyone, but he is kind of a low point of this one for me, where I was like, man, if he had a better sidekick, it could be a little more fun.
It's almost like they tried too hard to make him the comic relief.
Way too hard.
Yeah.
Although he does have my favorite scene in the movie, which we will get to it when they're on the little boat going to the wizard. I will save it for when we get to that point because it's ridiculous and it makes me giggle every time I see it.
Well, and this is something we have to address, right? The studio, pleased with the success of Conan the Barbarian, but not satisfied. They wanted bigger success, more box office, wider audience, make it more family friendly. So tone down the violence, cut out the sex, get a PG rating, because I believe they didn't have PG-13 yet, right?
Nope. Temple of Doom had not come out yet.
Right. So and so what we end up getting is a Conan story that's a little lighter, it's more comedic, and I think his character is definitely in service of that. And I agree, Tracy Walter is a great little character actor. Like, he gives a good performance, but the character itself, it doesn't have the same chemistry.
No. The bit where he's constantly swallowing jewels to shit him out later is kind of funny, but then it really runs its course where you're like, dude, everything you're going to get, you're going to swallow? This is ridiculous. Like, it becomes a little too much.
I
It's for kids.
Concerned.
Yeah, the thing we want to do, Carmelita, is encourage kids to swallow things they find.
This was the
Yeah.
80s. This was the 80s.
fair.
They encouraged kids to do all kinds of things.
I grew up
And
then.
really,
Trust me, it was a crazy time.
We kind of have a child in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Olivia Diablo. She's very childlike. Like,
Well, no, she was like
No?
14, 15 years old.
Whoa.
Did you not know that?
I thought she was at least 17 or 18.
No, friend.
Ooh.
She turned 15 that year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That just makes her.
I am glad that I watched this when I was 5 or 6. No.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
That's
glad we
a
got
lot
this
of-
out of the way now. in
Yeah,
case
I didn't do
anyone
that
was gonna
much
make any
research on it.
comments about.
No, I was going to talk about Sarah Douglas instead of Olivia Diablo. Thank goodness for that. Andy.
Yeah.
Your instincts were correct. Like, cause yeah, there's like so many things where she's asking, Wilt Chamberlain, who does have a pretty sweet character name. Bombata is pretty cool name, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, is he handsome? I'm like, who talks like this? Like, you know what? Somebody who's never talked to any human being is just, people are there to wait on her hand and foot. That's how you talk to people. And that's why she has no world skills whatsoever.
Right. Well, like, virginity is like a whole part of her. Like, it's a major part of the plot. Her
Oh, yeah, you
virginity
can tell the aunt
remaining intact.
Made sure she kept that intact. Like, don't let anybody near her.
But we get so much side boob in this movie. It's a
Yeah.
teenage girl.
Those are some like very revealing outfits for like
For anyone,
For-
a
for
14-year-old.
Well, yeah, a
for a
15-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad, look what I get to wear in my movie I'm in.
I mean, this is the same. This movie comes out the same year as Bolero, and she's in Bolero.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and that's a really like unpleasantly horny movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, this is the 80s, friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Times they were different.
Yes.
definitely. But man, wow, that's
I dropped
So
this
young.
bombshell at the beginning of the episode.
now everyone's going to be thrown off for the rest of the episode because I'm thinking there's like parents let her do this, like the whole movie. Tracy Walter has to try to explain sex to her.
I know.
Yeah.
Very funny sequence.
So
Where they
bizarre.
join. They join. I remember being a kid going, even I know this. What are you talking about? You
And I
weird
just
dude?"
wonder how much of that awkwardness is tempered by the fact that he knows this is like a 14-year-old. And so that comes through in the performance versus just what's on the page. Like, Imagine how mortifying that would be to like do 14's what, freshman high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do like a freshman
yeah,
health
freshman,
class?
sophomore. Yeah.
No thanks.
Kind of my half-ass behind the scene research is that Wilt Chamberlain was not just her protector as the Bombada character, but on set he was very protective of her and like, hey,
Oh.
anyone hassles you, anyone gets weird with you, let me know. I'll take care of it.
That's
she-
kind of sweet.
Yeah,
It's
so
kinda
she
sweet.
had someone
Coming from the
looking
guy
out
who's
for her.
known for banging like 1,000 women.
I know.
Yeah. But hey,
There are
those-
lines. There are
but hey,
lines.
and those were all presumably over the age of consent.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yep.
So good for Wilt Chamberlain, I guess.
Yeah.
100 points both in and out of the ring.
Yeah. It just makes me wonder, like what a weird friggin' set this had to be.
Yeah.
Just look at the combination of people.
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Wilt Chamberlain, a 14-year-old girl,
Grace-
like
Grace Jones looking beady-eyed at everybody. Like,
Oh my
Grace
God, she's
Jones
the
and-
best.
she is the best
her,
part of the
like,
movie now.
absolutely, like, probably not her most coked out, but like it's got to be like a top 4 coke year for her, just because it's like, I'm sure in the 70s there was a lot of coke years, but you know this is still what 1980. This came out in 1984, right?
84.
So
So
Yeah.
it would have filmed 82, 83. So yeah.
82, 83, and those were still, you could still get some good stuff in those discos, I'm sure, especially if you're Grace Jones. Which who else was this your introduction to Grace Jones?
Oh, when I was a
Is
kid?
it-
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first
Yeah.
time I'd ever seen? Yes.
Had you ever seen a human being who looked and acted like this?
No. Never.
It was like she came in from another planet to me. It's like, you know, I grew up in a big city. I like it, so it's not a thing of like I've never seen, you know, minorities or anything. I didn't grow up, you know, in one of those little white small towns. So that was not the issue, but the issue was the fact that she looks like the closest comparison I have to her in this movie is Iggy Pop, because it's like there's absolutely no fat on either of them. Their bodies are moving in ways that human bodies don't normally move, and they've got the most insane like expressions on their faces throughout the entire thing. Like it's just all like huge eyes and crazy faces and like joints in places where things aren't supposed to bend.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I watched a lot of MTV, so I'm fairly certain that I was already familiar with Grace Jones through music television.
Okay. What video was she? Because I watched a ton of MTV.
I'm
but then
trying
again,
to, I'm trying to think. You know, and she would do appearances. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Because she's such a personality.
right. And
So
I
you
am one
would-
of the old, so I saw this before MTV was really a thing or big thing. So yeah, I get it.
Right? But definitely like in terms of like a movie, because she did other things, right? She did what, Vamp?
Oh, she
What
did.
else?
Yeah, she did Bond. A View to a Kill. A year or so later.
So this was my first time seeing her like playing a role as an actor. Grace Jones, hands down, my favorite thing about this movie, even more so than Conan.
I think she's grown
Arnold
to
is
become
Conan.
one of my favorite things because, you know, when you're a kid, it's always, it's Conan, he's got the sword, and this weird lady with a tail that when she gets out of the water, she shakes it and it makes a little twinkle sound. I was like, huh? And now that I'm older too, I'm like, wait a minute, she's not wearing much of anything. Like, that's a very revealing outfit. And there's many, many crotch shots, you know, when she's thrown on the ground or fighting. I was like, now that I'm older, I was like, wow, this, I mean, it must have informed something, but it didn't, you know, set me on a path that's what I look for. But it's just one of those things. So she's a very interesting character, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more as we go on, because this is kind of like He-Man almost, where he's got his cast of characters with him. And really, Conan doesn't do as much in this one as he does in the first one, because each little spot, somebody has to help him out doing something. So it's kind of fun that way. And it's a little more of a team. But again, I watch Conan to watch Conan do Conan things.
Well, I don't think Arnold was too stoked on
Considering
this.
the moment we first see him in his, like, that, my biggest problem with this movie, Conan doesn't comb his goddamn hair. And in this one, it's like perfectly manicured and split down the middle. And then they got rid of his awesome jewel, and he's back to wearing the little wheel of pain again. And I was like, oh, that's he's still pining over her, which of course you would, because she's a Valkyrie now. But yeah, there's just so many little weird choices where I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, his hair, every time I see it, I was like, Conan doesn't comb his hair.
He's a barbarian.
Did he get the new pinwheel custom made? Because he threw the other one out.
Yeah, this
right?
one's
Or
like
did he
this one's
go
like
back
gold.
and-
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's got
Yeah.
bones on it. So yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely
So he's bougie Conan in this one now.
yeah,
He
hair
combs
done.
his hair. He's got a gold wheel necklace.
Maybe
That's
this is dress
hilarious.
for the job you want. He's not yet a king by his own hand,
Oh, good point.
Mm.
but
yeah.
we're working towards that. So maybe he's trying to look the part. I don't know.
Ah,
You know what was funny on
Interesting.
the Arrow 4K? There's an actual interview with John Bloomfield, who was this movie's costume designer, and he was like, the only message I got from Dino was show more of Arnold, because this is Arnold. And I mean, Arnold shredded in this one. Like
Oh,
in
yeah.
the first
Yeah,
one,
he
he's
is.
huge and he's like still bodybuilder. This one, it's like he is cut and ripped. And the guy was like, so I just put Arnold in the skimpiest stuff that you could see every muscle move and everything. I was like, that makes more sense, because yeah, he's wearing fur loincloth and not much else, a belt and furry boots, and that's kind of it.
He's the second least dressed person in the movie after Grace Jones.
Yeah.
You're right.
And there's almost as many buffalo shots of him as there are of her. So
True. Good point. Equal opportunity butt shots.
It feels like a really weird, like Twilight Zone Fellowship of the Rings team, right? They're all so different. They're all
Mhm.
basically different, like, I don't know. Yeah.
you know what it is, Lindsay?
I don't even know what to call it. Yeah.
I can tell you what it is. It's a D&D campaign.
Oh, it is. It's a
Oh,
ragtag
for
group
sure.
of people with all the
Yeah.
different skills. You got your warrior, your
Yep.
thief, your wizard, your protector, and the prince. Yeah, you're right. Perfect. Yeah.
Yep.
You get your warrior, you get your
Good
barbarian.
Yeah.
I'm sure the princess is something. I don't know
Yeah.
what princess class would be in D&D, but
I played, but I don't know either. So
yeah, we'll call her the priestess, or
Yeah.
the healer, the cleric.
I will
class.
say this movie, to its positive side, it does move along, because it is only 143 minutes. It's like it's
Yeah.
super fast, like an hour and 43.
Yeah.
You're in and out, and it's like we're not stopping for anything, even when we probably should. We're not going to. And it seems like Samaria is literally like a town away from each other. Like he literally leaves and picks up Mako in like 20 minutes. He's like, I gotta stop and get a wizard, and he's like, he's just right around the corner here. and then Zula, oh, she's right around here. And it's just they just keep running into all this stuff. Like 5 minutes into the trip, it's like, can't we get on the road and get to where we need to go? Like, there's no sense of time in this movie. It takes place in either a day or a year. Like, there's no there's nothing to explain what's happening.
And it's weird because the D&D comparison, like I've not run D&D games, but I've run other RPGs as like the dungeon master or whatever the particular game's word for the dude in charge is. And this is set up like every first campaign, like every first meeting that I've ever had, where it's like, okay, so we've got these two main characters and they need to run into the other people. So here is some Deus Ex Machina where, here's some goons, they grab them, they bring them forward the king gives them a quest, and here's some new hang-alongs. As you're going through the town, you spot this other weirdo that you want to go talk to, and it's Grace Jones. So obviously you're going to go talk to her. And then, a wizard shows up and he's like, I know where you're going. Let's do this thing. And it's exactly like I have to figure out how to get all these characters that are all different classes with different skills, played by completely different people who all have their own independent backstories of things that don't mesh with anybody else's. Like I was lucky enough to get two people to agree to be like to know each other. So, and it's just That's the whole thing feels like it to me. Even right down to the fact that it's a fairly linear. First you get the team, then you go do this, then you go do that, then you go do the third thing, and then it's back to fight the big bad boss.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like the temple of Tathamon would seem like that would be like the big final set piece, but no, that's where we go to get the one piece of this puzzle, the key. And then we got to take the key and go to this other temple. Like it definitely is like that quest. Like you have to go collect this. After you get the team, go collect this item, and then you're going to need to take that item. You're going to fight your way to the other location where you'll do like the big thing.
Yes,
It is like a game.
Yep, I've played literally dozens of D&D campaigns or D&D light campaigns where we start with a battle so you can learn the dice rolling, mechanics. Then you get your mission, then you go find people and you meet people and you're like, you can come along with us. Sure. It's so much that. And each person, like you're right, because if they didn't get Mako, they wouldn't know where to go. Because when she's taken by that crazy, should we go like set by set piece, or how do you guys want to do this? Because I could easily just ramble on and on about this incoherent movie.
Let's run it like a campaign. Yeah.
Jay's not here. We can do whatever we want.
All right, Andy, roll D20.
Oh, -1. Crap. I trip and fall off my horse. Yeah, 0.
Yeah, you roll the 0, you fall off your horse, you land in a pile of elephant turds.
That's pretty much, yep. That's like every game I play. Real quick, you guys will laugh. One of the first like role-playing games that my friend group and I did, I somehow managed to be in the water, and my other friend had a rope, but he was also a wizard, and he was like, I'm gonna do a force blast to shoot Andy up out of the water so he can grab onto this thing. And our other friend who was actually running it was like, you realize you do have a rope, right? He goes, yep. And he was just rolling away. And I was like, okay, I hope this blast doesn't kill me. And it was just, it was from that point forward, every roll did not work out for our favor. None of us took a driving skill, so we had to drive unbeknownst to us. So we were literally rolling, failing everything. It was the worst experience you could possibly have, but also the most fun because you're with your good friends and you're just laughing at how comically horrible everything is going.
Now, Andy, was this a Star Wars RPG?
No, this was a Shadowrun RPG.
I love Shadowrun.
I have another great story real quick, and I won't take too much longer, but my friend ran an actual Star Wars one, and we were bounty hunters, and we had this mission, and he had this, and I warned him. I said, hey, sometimes when I play games like this, I'm going to play this like I play a video game. And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, you'll find out. And he's like, you guys come across this, data pad and you push play. And he starts telling me what the thing is. I go, I fast forward. And I go, and he goes, wait, what? I was like, I fast forwarded. He goes, you can't fast forward. I was like, I just did. That's what I do during games so I can get on to shoot something else. And he goes, afterwards, he was like, damn it, dude, that was my whole info dump, and I had to come up, figure out a whole different way of bringing it in. I was like, I'm sorry, I guess you shouldn't have given me the ability to fast forward through your info dump. Okay, I'm done talking about past RPG games. Let's get back to Conan.
Well, while we're telling past RPG stories, I've got one. I'm sure Jay is free to edit all of this out if he wants.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
This is comedy gold.
I was running. There's a zombie game called All Flesh Must Be Eaten. Yes, I was running that one. And a guy was, so the setup is like they're in like a diner, and the guy, my friend was like, I'm going to rob the diner. It's like, why are you robbing the diner? This is a zombie game, right? And we're at the part where everybody meets each other and then things start to go to shit. He's like, no, I'm going to rob the diner. It's like, okay, roll. So he robs the diner successfully. It's like, okay, now roll again. And he rolled like a 2. I was like, well, as you leave with your ill-gotten gains from the diner, you are not paying attention, you're looking behind yourself to bask in your victory, and you get hit by a bus because you rolled a 2, you idiot. Now roll a new character who's going to get off the bus that just ran you over. As you can see, I was a lot of fun as a dungeon master. But yes, let's go back to the quest beginning. So we open up with a the most nets I've ever seen in a single battle scene.
So many nets.
I mean, so many chances for Arnold to grab the nets and pull people off their horses.
Yes, and so many opportunities for stunt horses to do their one trick where they flop over onto their side.
But it always looks so cool, man, when the horses flop over. And there's a lot of hard hitting stunts because those guys are hitting just sand. And that was, again, this is another Vic Armstrong joint. So, those stuntmen were just, there's not much padding other than that armor, and you're hitting the sand hard.
Yeah. And it's being filmed in Mexico. So who knows what the safety regulations, if any, there are for people and horses in 1983. Because, I'm pretty sure that I don't know if there's I don't think there was an ASPCA branch down there back then that was keeping track of the movies. So I can only hope all the horses had a fun time.
Yeah. Some pretty good little like blood bags though. You could see there's a couple moments where there's some real spurts, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this is PG. Like,
yeah.
Like how many people, it almost seems like while the violence level is lower, more people get killed.
True. Yeah. You see way more. And it makes the Queen look, so you really just wanted to talk to Conan to see if he'd do this thing. So you sent 12 of your guys in there to just let him get killed until, Bombada swings his little mace that makes a whistle sound to stop the fight. And then I'm like, wait a minute, you just let all your guys get killed. You're a horrible queen. I mean, we know she's horrible based on what happens later, but I'm like, right. I would not want to work for you. Like, no, she doesn't care about us at all.
That's just toxic leadership.
Yeah.
Really.
And if that's not indicative of what we're currently experiencing every day, then yeah, that's how I feel. Just to send me out to get killed by Conan.
That's a good example of what not to do in an HR video.
Yeah.
When confronting Conan the Barbarian, don't send wave after wave of your goons after him. Instead, offer him $50 to stop stabbing and talk to you for 5 minutes.
Which is funny because when she comes in, he just starts talking to her anyway. It's not like he put up a fight for it. I'm like, you could have just walked up there and said, hey, I'm the queen. I want to talk to you. What were you praying about? Oh, you want your awesome lady back? I can give her to you.
Think about King Osric in Barbarian, right? Yes, there were some guards who escorted Conan and team to go and meet with Osric, but they didn't really have to hurt them, and then they just offered them a shit ton of jewels. And it was like, great, let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a thief. It's not like he's king yet.
Yeah.
Even if he's king, like a garbage bag full of rubies can make a real difference in your attitude.
This is true.
It really can. It really can.
I'm not a queen, and I bet it would put me in a pretty good mood.
Yeah. But I do like that they try to carry over some elements from the first one. Like it is weird though that every single like funeral pyre Conan stops at, he like prays for Valeria or gets down and has his sword out in a very regal pose. And then I'm like, does he do that every time? Because this isn't supposed to be the same place, because that was up on a hill and this is a different spot. So I'm like, huh. I guess every funeral pyre will remind you. It makes me think of Naked Gun, where he's like, everywhere I look, something reminds me of her. So clearly I've watched this movie a lot because I can recite what happens over and over again. I don't even need to look at Jay's awesome breakdown of what's happening next, but it's just weird that he's just sitting there. And then she casts a little spell on him. And I was like, and he kind of knows. He's like, let's see if this can work. I don't trust her, but let's see if it works. And meanwhile, Malik's just hiding and stabbing people and getting people dropped on him. Like, it makes no sense for Conan to have him with him. He's not even capable of fighting. And Conan wouldn't put up with that, in my opinion. Not Conan from the first movie. He'd been like, to hell with you. Crom will take you.
Yeah. Yeah. Does Conan really want Malik there? Or does Malik just kind of tag along?
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. I'm
point.
not, it doesn't really matter to me if you're here or not. If you die, you die. It's fine.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good
Do
point.
they even actually say his name in the film?
Yeah, Conan goes, Malek, and he yells it, but nobody like talks to him like he's a human being. Everybody just
Yeah.
he's that little weird rat that's over in the corner.
Reminds me of Evil Ed in Fright Night.
Yes.
Very similar energy. And you're like, is this guy your friend? I'm not sure.
I could
He's
see
hanging around, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he's your friend.
I could see Conan keeping him around so people could focus on him, so he has to kill, so while they're killing him, he can then come up and just behead them all. So possibly.
Or maybe Conan keeps him around because he's the only person Conan met who was willing to swallow so many random jewels.
Oh my God.
Good
Like-
point.
Yeah,
Like-
could be.
And clearly they've been together for a while, because when they ride into town after this to get their quest, he sees a camel, which is a callback to the other
camel.
joke. And then he kind of says, "I'm sorry about what happened last time." And it's like, wait a minute, huh? This isn't Subotai. This is. And then the camel spits on him, and he just hits it. And then the guy kind of laughs. He's like, "Hey, look at our old friend." I was like, "Have they been to this town many times before? Just not under the guise of as the queen's guest?"
This is a movie for kids.
Good point.
I love the camel punch. I love
I do
the camel
too.
punch in the first one. I loved it in this one. I mean, we talked about the trick horses or the trained horses. That camel fell.
That was a great fall. It was just kind of,
It was
like,
so
ooh,
good.
like it almost, it's like legs wobbled and then it went down. It was
And
not even.
what did it spit at Conan? Is that what camel spit actually looks like?
I think
Yes,
so. Yeah.
it is. Having seen someone get spit on by a camel at the zoo one time.
Oh wow.
Learn
Yeah.
something tonight.
Yeah. It looks like you know what. 'Cause
It's
Melted
it's-
ice cream? Yes.
yes.
well, what it is. It's very like dehydrated. It's essentially very dehydrated saliva.
Oh, because all
So,
their
like-
water, the way that it.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
So it's preserving. It still has like the salivary acids that we have, similar to what we have in our mouth, but like with a whole lot less water content. So that's why it kind of comes out looking the way
Like
it
a
does.
paste?
And yeah,
And
if you
they're a
ever,
large animal, so there's a lot of it.
Good
If
point.
you ever go to the zoo, like where they're walking camels, if you see their mouths, they kind of foam up a little
Yeah.
bit,
Okay.
like
I have
when
seen-
you
all
take
right.
the camel rides or whatever.
Hmm.
Thankfully, my daughter refuses to ride them, which because it's like $20 I get to keep in my pocket.
And potentially not getting spit on by a camel. There's always that too.
And that's true, yeah. But I don't punch them in the head, so hopefully they'll like me.
No, I
Yeah.
don't have beef or history with too many camels I come in contact with. I'm sorry about last. It's just kind of fun.
It's so
Arnold is
bizarre.
pretty funny. That's actually a pretty good delivery because he's talking to a camel and he's like the way he like stands up in his saddle and just bonks it on the head. I was like, damn, Arnold looked pissed. Like he's definitely he's like this is my acting moment in this. I'm now acting. I'm an actor now, so
He's
I can
definitely-
emote.
Yeah, he's definitely giving a better performance here. It's a funnier performance. Like it's
Yeah, it's much
Just-
lighter.
I guarantee
kinda-
you somebody watched this and was like, yeah, he should be the lead in Kindergarten Cop. He looks like a beefcake, but he's really funny.
Yeah. And he's really good around kids because this girl's 14 years old. I still can't believe in my years of watching this, I've never even Googled it to see how old she was during the movie.
I love that little knowledge bomb that was dropped.
I'm sorry. I had to get it out of the way. It needed to be said.
Makes sense.
And you saved this from being canceled, talking about some
Yes.
of the outfits that she's wearing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now we're just going to completely avoid the fact that, like,
Yeah.
at certain points, she's wearing like 2 eye patches, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Very
my-
flowy,
Yeah.
sheer fabrics
Yeah.
that look like the wind could just
Yeah.
Take them
and
away.
Nothing underneath it. Because
Right.
nope, nothing at all.
the
So-
80s.
Yeah, the 80s.
Well,
So-
it was
yeah.
Didn't Brooke Shields do a naked scene when she was
yeah, Blue
13?
Lagoon, right?
Yeah,
She
yeah,
did
yeah.
that-
Oh,
and
yeah,
sex
yeah, yeah.
scenes.
So,
in
you know,
it,
it
didn't
was-
they?
it
even
the
before
thing.
Blue Lagoon. She did one like 2 years before Blue Lagoon. And Blue Lagoon, she had a body double, apparently.
Oh.
Because I went down a Brooke Shields rabbit hole a few years ago when her like autobiography came out. And like she was so traumatized by all the roles she had as a child and like an early teenager that
Sure,
it,
like Pretty Baby. It's like
Yeah.
a brothel. Yeah.
which is an insane movie to watch in any time after like 1985, right?
I think it's the same movie to watch anytime. But yeah, especially after 85, you're right.
Yeah, but back in the day, like you would give the French the benefit
Yeah.
of the doubt. But now I don't give the French the benefit of the doubt anymore because, we've seen the kind of things that they get into over there.
Yeah.
Not to just paint the French with a terrible brush, but that movie is, I don't know how that movie was made then. And I don't know why, like, as of 2000, it was still like at college libraries as like a DVD you could get
Weird.
in places that have like film studies and stuff.
Well, comparatively, Olivia d'Abo's wardrobe was, I would say a little more conservative.
Compared to that, yes.
Yeah, it's very conservative compared to nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the character walks a fine line, right?
Mhm.
It's a young, teen character. She has a crush on Conan.
Who wouldn't? His
Who
hair's
wouldn't?
combed. He's in furry underpants. Come on.
Absolutely.
He's oiled up.
He's the
Every
hero.
scene, no matter where he's
Every
at, totally
scene.
oiled up.
This is
But
the most bathed Conan has ever looked.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
Carmelita.
totally.
It's true.
But mercifully, her affections are not
Reciprocated.
reciprocated.
No, he's like, not at all. I'm still pining over
Mercifully,
my Valkyrie. So leave
She
me alone.
looked young, and I was wondering where that was going as I was watching it at like 5 a.m. this morning. And I couldn't go to sleep or back to sleep. So I was like, I might as well just watch this movie now. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
might as well finish it.
Yeah. And when she started hitting on him, I was like, oh no, where are we gonna go?
Not this, not like this, not like this.
I'm gonna second the mercifully. It was
Yes.
not.
Yes, we were all
Reciprocated.
spared.
Yeah.
And Olivia d'Abo is great in this movie.
Oh, she's good.
Yeah.
She's
And she's
Yeah.
great. And yes, the character, I think it walks the very fine line. It could have gone horribly wrong,
But it didn't.
but it didn't. We can still kind of raise our eyebrow like, oh, you can't do that anymore. But
and shouldn't have done it back then, but still.
right. But it never crosses the line into like, oh, turn it off. I can't
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't watch this, So
Yeah. So the deleted scene that would have made this more of an R-rated movie was when Conan goes before they leave. He and Sarah Douglas character have sex. And I've seen video of them in bed and he's laying on, not like they're still clothed, but I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I had read that, but I finally saw there's like some actual on-set footage of Conan. And it's funny because he still has his sword and he's holding onto the sword while she's trying to kiss him. I was like, man, it's Conan. All right. He's not going to, I mean, this guy's had like, women turn into witches and wolves, like demons on him. So I'm
This
like,
is
he's
true.
like, unless you're Valeria, I'm not letting go of this. This sword is staying sheathed, if you know what I mean.
That makes me feel better. That I expected that to happen and
Yeah.
then it didn't. And that was more confusing, I think, for me after very recently having seen
How many times he gets laid in the first one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she, when she's giving him the wine, she's like doing that where she tickles his like shoulders and his bare chest. And I was just like, he's just like standing there all stoic. I was like, okay, yeah, clearly they were going somewhere, but they didn't. And then
Andy mimed the tickle for,
for those,
since,
yeah.
since people can't see.
Yeah, this is an audio medium. I thought that was just for us guys, but thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate it. Oh, wait, what's that? A bus coming? Okay.
People need to know.
People need to know.
Just how good your performance was, Andy.
Oh,
It
thank
was
you. I
really
appreciate that.
good.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
it
you. I
was
put a
really
lot of time and
good.
effort into it. All
If that
day at
makes
work.
you uncomfortable,
No,
we
it
can
doesn't.
have Jay take it out.
Never, nothing. No. Kidding me? Throw this on YouTube. I don't care. But yeah, so then they just leave and they go and meet Mako, which I absolutely. I'm glad they gave him more to do because he's clearly having a blast, just being like making grunts and noises while showing them where you need to go. It's like I love it. Every time Conan gets stuck, he's like a video game helper. Like, where do I go? And you could turn to him, and he's like a hint, and he's just like underneath here, and he's okay, thanks. So but from like cannibals. That's where he has to save him from. Weird.
He's the not obnoxious version of Navi from
Zelda.
The Zelda game. Yeah,
you're right.
Nintendo 64 Zelda game.
Listen.
But yeah, he's so much fun in this movie.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that he got more to do, and that's one of the reasons why I've always had a soft spot for this movie, because it's like, you've got this wizard. Why is he not doing like having a wizard duel?
Yeah.
And we finally get, and then we jump to it later, but we finally get to see him do some like actual wizard shit.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun to me. And
because he's giving it his all. His facial expressions are awesome in this.
It's literally like, you know how you watch people do like Tai Chi and you see them do like resistance against the air as they move their hands? Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's doing like that, but also like throwing in some like guitar stank face. It's wonderful. Like, it's just a great physical performance.
Guitar stank face. Yeah, but this moment is etched in my brain when they all turn their heads and Conan comes riding in, and the first lop, you literally see a head just fly up in the air and then a body land in a fire. I remember being a kid and I was just like, this is the coolest thing I have ever seen. And then I would go on to see the first movie and I was like, this is the coolest thing I have ever seen. But yeah, so, and he just takes all of them out. And the one that always gets me is the very last swing. He breaks the bone on that dude's head, and that poor stuntman looks like he takes a metal, not sharpened sword, but just a metal rod just to the dome, just dong, and he just falls down. And I'm just like, ow, ouch.
But Andy and I are both like wrestling dudes, so we've both seen a lot of people take chair shots to the head.
Yeah, unprotected. You should never do it.
Yeah, don't do it, and definitely don't do it in high school on a bet like I did. Might explain some things about what's wrong with me, but yeah, that I would rather take like a metal folding chair, because at least it's like a flat thing,
and it gives way a little bit.
Have like, and it looks like a legitimate like piece of metal breaking. It doesn't look like a rubber sword, and it doesn't look like it was probably like pre-cut, bone helmet or whatever.
Sure.
So the helmet's just going to split, and you're literally just taking that to the head. And you're hoping Arnold doesn't like follow through,
right?
I've full credit to whatever stuntman took that, because even if you've got like a little like a skull cap on underneath, that's still gonna hurt like crazy.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do like that this shows still the thoughtfulness of Conan. Like I mentioned in the last one, he's very thoughtful, and he doesn't just. And I like when she's like, "We got to go this way." He's like, "Yeah." But a wizard's over here. And if I'm expected to fight magic, I need somebody to fight magic with. And so I like that little bit that it's like, no, Conan's not dumb. He's not just going to go into battle with unprepared. And he gets to bring Mako along, and we get more of him. So it's a win-win for all of us.
And I will say, I do like the Tracy Walter signature move in this movie, where he jumps on the back of the horse and takes the two little daggers and just like
stabs the guys a couple times. Yeah, he does that like 3 or 4 times in this movie.
Always in the kidneys too.
Yeah,
he
goes for the kill shots.
Effective.
Yeah.
He's pulverizing kidneys or cutting throats. I don't love the character as an adult. I thought he was a lot funnier when I was like 10.
Sure.
But he still gets to do a few fun things, and when he throws the dagger like towards the end of the movie, it's legitimately impressive. And I was like, why didn't we see a little bit more of that throughout the movie, and a little less of, hey, Conan, help me, I'm pinned by this guy, I stabbed in the kidneys.
Screaming Conan help underneath.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the worst part about the character, is the fact that he needs Conan to bail him out
every single time. Yeah, Subutai didn't need Conan to bail him out. Well, kind of, but that's because he let his guard down because a beautiful witch woman coerced him. Been there, done that. Who's right.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Conan's already gotten his quest. He stops to pick up the wizard, have we got to the part where they go through town and they just find a bunch of random townies tormenting Zula?
That's where we're at. Yeah.
And that is the introduction to Grace Jones, who immediately looks like, I mean, I've already talked about how she doesn't look like any human ever in this movie. And man, it's like, okay, so you're gonna be like the person who's like, you're gonna be the other like badass on the team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Mhm.
love how that scene plays out because she's chained and
Mhm.
she's being attacked. It's not a fair fight, obviously. We find out her and some other bandits, the others were killed, and this is how they're dealing with her. I love when the Princess Jenna, tells Conan like, someone needs to intervene. And I love that Conan, just seeing that this is a capable person, he just cuts the chain. She can handle the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I think does carry over from the previous film. That, Conan doesn't just go around saving people all over the place. Like, he surrounds himself with capable people and he lets them do what they do.
And this isn't a damsel in distress type of movie either. Like
Yes.
this, I feel like the Conan movies were always poised as like a man's movie. There was sex and blood and war and Conan the Barbarian, and this one a little more tame. But I feel like none of the women in the movies are helpless, which
Yes.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Like the closest to like a helpless woman you get in the movies is the princess.
And she's a child.
Yeah.
She's a child. Number one, she's a child. Number two, she throughout the movie, she's like, okay, so I'm gonna actively start to improve myself. I'm gonna go to Grace Jones and be like, hey, show me how to stick fight. I'm gonna like try to be as capable as these people I see around me in whatever way I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like when you first meet Grace Jones and she's tied up and she has that weird leather outfit with a tail. It's almost like she's like a feral tiger or cat. Just that these town folks are legitimately freaked out. It's just they overpowered her because of sheer numbers. And they're, and I like Conan just walks over and he goes like, what's up with this? And the guy's like, her and some bandits raided the town. And like you said, friend, when he's like, he just cuts her loose and pretty much looks at her like, yeah, you're good. And then he just kind of smirks and takes off. And then she beats the piss out of everybody. There's one scene where she hits somebody with her staff, and I swear that stuntman takes a staff to the face. And
I
It
was
looked
reading-
like it was real.
No, some people got injured.
Oh.
see why.
Some people got injured. She did do some training in preparation for the role with this, with the stick fighting.
Yeah.
But some stunt folks got injured with the stick.
I do like how when she gets done beating them all up and she walks over, like her horse just happens to be right there because she hops on it and it's got her little, metal headpiece. And then she just, and I like every time she turns around and looks, they're all like, ugh, all these like, big men. And and it's very funny that this movie back even in 1983 had the, kind of foresight to be like, yeah, a strong woman can scare the wrong kind of men. And I like that because they're all like, oh, she's got her back turned to us. We're going to, oh, sorry. And every time she turns around, they're ready to piss themselves. And then she takes off and follows them and almost bites and kills Wilt Chamberlain's character because she would have bit his throat if Conan didn't stop it. And then she's like, if Conan will let me fight for him, I will give my life for him. And he's like, we shall see. But it's almost like this little like, hey, yeah, people know who I am. Like it's so yeah, again, awesome scene that just brings our group together. And I think she's kind of our last major piece to the puzzle because now we have the wizard, we have the thief, we have the warrior, we have the princess, we have this other warrior who's got a different, longer weapon, and we got the tall 7'2" Wilt Chamberlain who's got a giant mace. And then the smallest sword out of everybody, when he pulls it out later, he's just like, I'm like, okay, they didn't teach him how to use that because he's holding it like a baseball bat, but that's okay. That's okay. And then we're off. And it's great. I love, like I said, this movie moves. Like it doesn't take long to breathe. And it probably, like I said, probably could have and may have even improved a little bit. But then she gets kidnapped by a smoke dragon or a mist dragon, and I like which
This
is
is
a cool,
very
a cool visual.
Excalibur.
It is
Yes,
very
yes.
high fantasy, whereas the first one was like just kind of down and dirty fantasy, like sword and sandals. This is sword and sorcery.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
And some awesome matte paintings and like miniature
Oh,
work,
yeah.
because when they're walking up those steps later, it looks like they're legit, hundreds of feet in the air on this little weird column maze thing. But
Yeah, like no expense was spared with the making it look good, because
true.
it looks incredible. Like, and the stuff that probably shouldn't work still kind of works,
Yeah, it
because
does.
like that transformation to the Mist Dragon
Yeah.
is great. Like
Yeah.
these days they would do it with CGI, and this is clearly like hand drawn animation,
Yeah.
and it looks incredible. And then you
Yeah,
get the
holds up.
composite shot of that Mist Dragon carrying her away,
Yeah.
and that still looks really good.
Yeah,
Like even in HD, like you don't see the seams like you probably should.
true. And then that wizard is Pat Roach, who is the swordsman from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the big dude from Temple of Doom that gets crushed by the wheel. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, wait a minute, do I know that guy?
That
And I'm
guy's
like,
familiar.
yeah. I'm like, sure, whatever. And then when I'm older, I'm like, it's the Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom guy, who was supposed to be in The Last Crusade, but his scene was cut. Should have been in every single indie movie, getting killed by Indy in some fun way.
And this one, he gets a cool sorcerer priest outfit.
He does. It's like, yeah, he gets to show off his arms and his weird scarred face and the little talony rings on it, nails on his hand. I was like, interesting. And he's like, come anyway. He's like, he's totally hamming it up, because he's like, I never get to talk in those indie movies. Now I'm going to take my advantage and say everything I can. So yeah, super cool. And this scene, when they go in, this is my favorite Tracy Walter scene, because they're on that little rowboat, and first he like jumps in, and he's the like typical kid. He's like, I'm gonna row, and Arnold just sits him down and pushes his head down. But if you watch when Arnold's rowing, every time he goes by, the little skull part of the oar hits Tracy Walter in the head, and he just kind of goes dunk every time and doesn't move, doesn't do anything. It's like, that's the kind of moron that Conan's with. He just sits there and gets hit over and over again while they're going in, and he just doesn't, like, you could just move, and he doesn't. So
You could.
it's so fun every time. As a kid, I remember seeing that and go, man, that guy's dumb.
Well,
Yeah,
then they
but
get
they're-
to the
they're-
tower.
Yeah, they get into the tower and they're going after the MacGuffin. The first MacGuffin of two in this movie.
Yeah.
In the magical gem, and that leads us into Conan's Mystery Cave of Mirrors, which
Oh, yes.
sounds like something I wandered through in a carnival in 1999, like 1994.
Yep.
Like
Mhm,
one of those
mhm.
rooms with all the mirrors, and you got to figure your way out.
Yep.
And it's like that, except with stabbing. So that was fun.
I will say one more thing real quick. Leading up to that, when they get to swim underneath that little chasm and stairs, that probably is where I can pinpoint why I hold my breath in every movie to see if I could survive when they're underwater, and why I would die 99% of the time. Because I'm like, Mission Impossible, I don't even try anymore, because I'm like, after that one, I was like, okay, I heard Tom Cruise holds his breath for 6 minutes. Not gonna happen. But this one, I still, when I was watching this yesterday, as soon as they go underwater, I was like, and then when he surfaces, I was like, still got it. I can still do it.
It's funny because I used to do that same thing, Andy. I didn't do it this time,
That's
but
great.
Every time.
It's-
But I'm like, and that's when Grace Jones gets out and shakes her little tail, and then they go, ding. I'm like, oh. And you see that she's kind of wearing a thong. And I was like, oh, young 9-year-old me should not have been seeing somebody in a thong. Should not. But guess what? I turned out okay.
well, before HD, who knows, right?
True. Good point. It was all
Yeah.
kind of, yeah. And pan and scan, you might not even see everything. So yeah, totally.
I'm pretty sure they left that in the pan and scan.
Yeah, Dino made sure of that.
I don't know if the church deacons would have approved.
Oh, I remember going in and telling people, like, you guys, I bought this movie and somebody gets their head cut off. And I was like, oh, for a moment, I was the coolest kid in 3rd grade at St. John's.
So Conan's special house of murder mirrors.
Murder mirror.
With the cool, I like how he figures out that the only way to defeat the monster is by destroying the mirrors.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and I like that it was
a
kind of by
cool
mistake.
magical thing, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
even with all his brute strength, Conan is not going to be able to defeat this monster in hand-to-hand combat or with the sword.
Nope.
He has to destroy the mirrors. It's a cool magic thing. I love
It
when
is.
magic is used in movies in ways like this. And so that's a really cool detail. I love how it's, we have the two-way mirror action. So everyone else is behind a mirror watching and they can't intervene.
And he can't see them because of the frosted mirror. You're right. Yeah, I do like that a lot. And this is where Basil's score really rock and rolls. Like, I mean, it's great through the whole thing. It's not as good as the first one. It's not as good as Barbarian's score, but this one, when he first realizes, oh, hitting the mirrors hurts him, and then he goes to swing, and the creature just bear hugs him and picks him up and makes him drop his sword, and then lifts him up to do this like wrestling power bomb, like torture rack move, and then Arnold's feet are moving and he kicks the glass. When the score comes in, oh my God, it still gives me goosebumps because he grabs his sword and just starts swinging for the fences, and that thing's making a crazy sound and blood's coming out from different spots. And in HD, I love that you can see where they missed some of the makeup on his black mask, so you can see where his like skin flesh is coming through. I was like, oh, he kind of looks like Batman with his eye makeup. But yeah, it's so cool. And then when he just kind of covers himself up, and then he has to choose which another perfect RPG moment. Like, do I throw it at the right window or the left window? And you don't know.
Yeah.
And even as a kid, I just remember going, the other one, and then he just kind of fakes you out and throws it, and then the guy walks out with the sword in him. And some good Foley work, because when he pulls that sword out, it's really like squishy. It's especially because I was watching it in the surround. I was like, oh, gross. And he just drops his sword and then just becomes light. And I was like, oh, okay, weird.
Well, I love in this scenario too, you have the rest of the gang behind that two-way mirror yelling, no, and he can't hear them, but it's like what we all do in, I don't know, horror movies or whatever, don't run up the stairs, stupid. Just
we also don't back up from the mirror, so in case he threw the sword through it, nobody gets hit. Last I checked, they could have backed up a couple feet.
Yeah.
But no, they just stayed right there going, no. And then she wakes up. I like that the wizard had not his spell was cast, and then when he kind of starts to turn into light, she kind of wakes up and sits up, and the way that dress is cut, weird. I'm like, all right, let's get past this now. It's going to be a tough. This might be a tougher rewatch for me moving forward. I have to fast forward some scenes a little bit. And then she just grabs the jewel, and and Conan's just his sword put away, and he's standing there all like this. What is? I don't know if they told Arnold to just every chance you get, just look stoic and stand there like you're a statue, because every time he's just there, he's got perfect posture. His sword's there, and he just all of his muscles are ripped, and somehow he's standing there, yet his abs are still contracted. So it's like he's posing on stage.
Yeah, well, he was giving the bodybuilder poses.
Every time.
Every time he gets a chance to, he gives a pose. Like when he puts the sword behind his head, and he's just like, yeah, the gym is over here.
Yeah, the jewel is this way. Totally, yes. And then they have to get out of the falling. Everything's falling and crashing around them, and then
the boat ride out looks really cool.
Yeah, as it's sinking below, and
at this point, I thought the movie was ending, and I felt, oh, this is shorter than I thought. It doesn't feel like it's been an hour and a half yet, and I hit pause and realized I'm only halfway through. What more could there be?
Oh, and what more there is, because then they go to find, because they had to get the jewel, to use the jewel to get the horn. I mean, this is like RPG storytelling 101. You could, if somebody wants to learn how to run an actual or write an actual RPG campaign, Just show them this. Honestly, just go watch Conan, and in an hour and 43 minutes, you'll get your basic story down. And then they go into this place, and there's the weird. It's a really cool set because it's kind of looks like nothing we saw in the first Conan. It's like kind of this weird architecture that with like levers and doors that move up and down and crazy fulcrums and stuff. It's just it's of a different world, and I like that. It doesn't feel like anything else that we've seen Conan have to deal with before. And then of course we have to get the obligatory, well, how else are we going to open it? Oh, I'm going to lift it up. And then he just lifts the door. And I like when Malik tries to, he goes, I'll help too. And they're like, go find the lock. He's like, you're not helping. And he has to take that moment to go, in there alone? Why would Conan have this guy with him?
I don't know.
So much I would have just rolled underneath and found it as soon as they got a little bit of space. So it's
he
so
just
ridiculous.
Wants to be included
He
so
does.
bad.
I'll get the door too, buddy. And he's like, just get away.
Yeah, you've got two physical freaks in Arnold Schwarzenegger and Wilt Chamberlain, who may be the strongest dude on the set.
Honestly,
yeah. It's. I think we've all seen the famous behind the scenes photo of Arnold, Wilt Chamberlain, and Andre the Giant together.
Yeah,
and they're just holding him up like he's a rag doll.
Yeah, and some of the things that Arnold has said about just the freak physical strength of Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah,
and famously also like one of the best high jumpers to have high jumped, and like literally a world-class volleyball player, which is not a surprise because if you could do the high jump and you're 7'4", why would you not be the most dumb? Why would you not have like a garbage bag full of Olympic medals?
I'm pretty sure you don't even have to jump to block a shot at the net at that point because you're just put your arms up and you're just.
But maybe you just like to jump,
Yeah. Back when you were younger and your knees didn't hurt. Yeah, I love to jump.
Or maybe if they set you up for a spike and you leap into the air and you're like 12 feet into the air and you hit it straight down.
Yeah.
Who's going to get
twice as much velocity?
No,
everybody's going to be like, nope.
Yeah.
All the way that one. But then, there's like, I like during this scene that Mako's kind of actually doing the smart thing where there's I'll be 100% honest. Every role-playing game I play, I'm the blunt instrument that I'm always like, make me a barbarian, give me a sword, give me an axe, give me a two-handed weapon, whatever. I'll go in first. And then there's always one of my friends who likes to kind of hang back and he's like, I'm going to inspect over here while Andy's taking down that giant monster for us or something like that. And I like that Mako's kind of walking around and he's putting pieces together that this plan doesn't seem right. Like they're going to bring back something horrible if we let this happen. And I like that Conan's like, we'll see. Cause he still ultimately hopes that Valeria can be brought back, even though he doesn't really believe it can. He's still holding on to that hope that it could. And he doesn't want to hear anything else that would change that for him. And he's just like, nope, I'll wait till the absolute last minute. Then I will agree with you and then we'll move on. But yeah, so that's really cool that Mako's got stuff to do while, Tracy Walters peeling diamonds out of the walls and jewels and stuff and
swallowing them,
being his typical thief.
I definitely prefer the second half of the film to the first half. And that's a big part of why. First of all, these amazing sets, the different temples, all the magic stuff. Love that. But yes, we get more Mako. He's more involved in the story. Like he's pivotal to getting them in and out of these places and like moving the story along because we already know that Jenna has to be sacrificed. And any ritual that involves human sacrifice, I'm guessing your goal for the ritual is probably not good, right? If it involves human sacrifice, I'm guessing you're trying to conjure something that's not beneficial to all of us, right? This is not something that benefits everyone. So I like that we finally get more of him and his involvement, and he's pivotal to what goes forward. I like that part of it.
Yeah. And we also get once they go to once they leave the Tothamon's collapsing castle and they end up going to the temple where the horn is, that's where we get the Scanners style wizard duel between Mako and the Grand Vizier, who has the coolest the two little gauntlets that he wears, and he gets together and goes
Cling cling.
and that's like the attack bell for the troops. To like pretty much everything he does, he dings the two gauntlets together, and then like makes a hand gesture or something, and we get the great like, and it's all sold by the actors' faces, right? And they're making faces and gestures, and then like you hear the Vizier like scream and like clutch his eyes.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like
yeah.
you don't have to see what happened to know what happened. Like he got scanners.
Yeah, it's even as a kid and even to this day, that guy's always, like you say, he's like cling cling, and then he's like basically like jazz hands, whereas Mako is just like smashing his hands together, and he's like, "Ugh," and he's like screaming, he's like, you know, and then I love that smoke comes out of the guy's nose. And I was like, wait a minute, what? But then I also like that they're smart enough to know like Mako like has to, after he like wins, he has to like, he's like, oh man, that took a lot out of me, and they just can't keep doing wizard stuff. Like again, it's really good fantasy storytelling for like, you know, like beginners, that yeah, if a wizard's gonna wizard, they're gonna get tired and they just can't wizard all the time. You know, it's just fun stuff like that. But I do like that scene a lot, because that guy's always like cling cling, and Mako's just like, I don't have time for your little hand gestures. I'm just gonna, like I said, just grunt and look right at you with my eyes crossed and just, you know, give it my all. And Mako rules. Not only does he look cool, he sounds cool. It must have been the coolest dude on set. Like I guarantee Arnold was still a big fan of his, because he, you know, helped him with the first movie, and I guarantee he helped more in this one too, because he had his own acting school that a ton of action stars went through, because, you know, so it's really cool to see Mako get a chance to just kind of kick some ass wizard style, and then you know, they get caved in, because, you know, Wilt Chamberlain's a real bitch in this movie. Real jerk.
Just following orders, Andy.
That's true. You're right. He is.
You
But I
know?
think he takes pride in it, because as soon as she says Conan's handsome, he's like, no, I don't think so. Again, not for any nefarious reasons, just he feels slighted as a man, that he's not what she would consider attractive. Conan is.
I don't think she necessarily didn't think he was attractive. He was just the only man she'd ever really seen. She didn't know what to compare anything to.
That's true.
Right.
If that's what all men
Yeah.
looked like, then all right.
Right. If that's all she
But-
saw, you're right. Because actually, you're right. Because she does say, all I've ever seen is you. And then she starts
Yeah.
laughing at him, and he's like,
Well, you gotta
wait a
think,
minute.
you know, if he's been her bodyguard for most of her life, you know,
And
through
he's more like a
childhood.
father figure.
Yeah, he'd be like your uncle or something.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point.
And
Weird enough.
again, she is still a child.
14.
14. Wait, she turned 15 while the movie was coming out. It's like,
Okay.
okay.
While it was coming out, not while it was filming, right?
Or no, maybe when she was filming. No, did you say when she
Okay.
was filming it, she turned 15?
She's born in 1969.
Okay.
I will not make any jokes, as tough as that may be.
Yes. So she turned 15 in 1984.
Okay.
So she was like 14 when this was being filmed.
Yeah.
She
Correct.
turned 15 till after they were done. Oh, wow.
God, maybe even 13.
Oof. Oh, Andy, you could have just left it alone, man.
Excuse me while I go dry heat. But we do get some cool action in this scene when they're fighting before the whole wizard battle, and we get some more violence. And I mean, Conan takes out his knife. I like when that guy, Conan just goes, just in the most badass way, you know, looks at him and just goes, enough talk. And he just grabs his head, just throws it in that guy's gut. And I'm just like, yep, here we go. And he's like picking up people and wrestling, slamming them. You know, Wilt Chamberlain's got some dude by the throat, and that dude is acting his ass off because he's screaming like he's scared to death. And they're just hacking people down, and Arnold's still quick because he does that little jump spinning move where he jumps and slashes the guy, and the blood bag hits. I'm like, all right, there's still some pretty cool stuff going on in here. And then once after all that happens, and Bombada causes the little cave in, and then they get out, and he's like, oh, and that's when Mako, and he's like, okay, she was lying to me the whole time. He was just, she's not going to bring her back. Now we got to go kill her so they don't kill her. It's just, it then becomes a true Conan like mindset of, yep, you have wronged me. Now I will take you out and you and everybody that you know.
Yeah, and that leads to the most useful part of the movie for uh let's see, our pal Tracy Walter, because he's the one who knows how to sneak through the back door because his
Yeah.
cousin's sister's brother
Yeah.
or cousin's brother's sister, it's kind of inconsistent. And it's a pretty funny comedy moment where it's like, it's my cousin's sister's brother. I've told you that like 1,000 times. Like
Your
anyone
mother's
can
brother's
keep track
I'm
of
sister's
it.
pretty
cousin.
sure you said cousin's brother's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mako and him even get that little back and forth moment that's truly hilarious where he's like, your
Mhm.
sister's mother. He goes, it wasn't her. And he's like, whatever. And meanwhile, Conan's bending metal bars. Oh, so ridiculous, but I love it.
He didn't say anything about bars.
Yeah. That's because they put him up after he escaped. And everybody's so mad at him. He's like, I'm sorry. And number one, when he saw how steep it was, he even wants to check it out then. He's like, I don't want to go down that way. They're like, there's only, and like Arnold literally, Conan grabs him and like literally almost just throws him down the mountainside. He's like just carrying him as he scales down with the rope. And then they get in, and there's an awesome fight between Arnold and Wilt Chamberlain.
Which their height difference.
Is comical. It's hilarious.
I love that they didn't try and even that out, right?
No, it's impossible. There's no angle that you could shoot him at that he just
know.
make Wilt look taller. So yeah.
But they work with it. They use it to the advantage of the fight
Mm-hmm.
to make it more. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because in the reality, it's not a very brutal fight because none of the fights are super brutal in this one.
No.
Honestly, tearing off the horn at the end is kind of the most gross thing. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
as a like kid, I was
So
like, ew,
gross.
is that a booger in there? Nope, that's brain, like that's matter and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that fight's pretty good. And then Arnold gets his superhero moment where he jumps off of the ledge onto people, and then just the cool creature effect of how that statue kind of comes alive. That was pretty sweet.
Oh, that's one of
Yeah.
my favorite things.
Yeah. And let's give all the credit to the Hall of Famer Carlo Rambaldi. He did Dino's 76 King Kong, which is most noteworthy on this podcast for the source of a quote I've used at least a couple of times on here. When a monkey die, everybody cry. Which is my favorite Dino De Laurentiis quote ever. But yeah, he also did Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He worked on Alien. He worked on E.T. Like he's just literally like a legend of the industry. Silver Bullet in the archives here. Cat's Eye. Just like Throw a Rock. Even like when he was doing like Andy Warhol movies, the makeup designs and stuff on like Andy Warhol's Frankenstein and Andy Warhol's Dracula are really cool looking. And like this creature is just like some next level crazy like monster. When it melts, when it goes from the melting statue, like as a child, when they put the horn in the statue and you see the head tilt back, it's like, oh, you did something stupid.
Yeah.
And then when it's moving back and forth and it looks like it's like, stretching
Mhm.
cement, I was like, what? It looks so cool. And
Yeah,
then
it's cool.
and then it just the noises that are being made, and I like that everybody's freaking out because, they didn't kill her in time, to sacrifice and even the like queen's yelling. He's like, kill her, or this is not going to end well, and it doesn't.
Yeah, but like what would have happened if they killed her just a little too late when he was like half in monster mode? You know what I mean?
I don't
Like,
know.
I mean, we don't need to know because that's not how it went, but that monster was so gnarly in the best way. It had everything. We had Swamp Thing. We had a unicorn horn. We had a roast beef neck thing going on.
Like flippers that had like flippers.
Flipper
Yeah.
hands with
Yeah.
like
webbed
Cthulhu
feet.
flippers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yep,
slimy.
yep.
And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it looks like
It was
looks
gooey.
like yeah. Ew. Yeah. And then it's got a weird mouth that opens side, like kind of like a Venus flytrap mouth, but it's like
That's not what I thought, but I like yours better.
Lindsay, you were probably thinking of the brain bug from Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I typically think about that too. Anytime I can
Yeah.
think of,
Very predator, like mandible.
yeah.
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 Yep.
Crazy that we would go from this and 2 years later we get Predator. Like that's how far the creature design and costuming was. Like insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Conan has to go up and he's fighting it and then Malik actually helps by throwing a dagger in its eye, and then there's just blood spilling out, and then when Mako's like, you gotta remove the horn, and he just and Arnold's like bleeding because he's like, when that thing grabs his head with its flipper hands, I was like, oh no, is this gonna crush Conan? As a kid, you never know.
Can't
Mhm.
crush Conan.
Can't, but
He's gonna be a
9-year-old
king
Andy didn't
by
know
his
that.
own hand.
He didn't know that because I didn't see the first movie to know that he was going to be a king by his own
Now
hand.
this is
Oh,
true.
that's
You
fair.
didn't know that. You didn't hear the sex witch prophecy.
Tell him, no, I didn't see a problem. No.
No.
And there was no sex witch in this one.
No, there was not.
Could imagine 9-year-old me going upstairs. This movie was great.
There was a sex witch.
This is another quick one, a little side funny story, but how I saw one of my favorite action movies in the 90s, Showdown in Little Tokyo. My mother had rented a bunch of VHS movies for the youth group at church.
Oh no.
And nobody watched them, and she had them sitting at home, and I went upstairs and I was like, Brandon, what is this? And I put it in because I was like, He-Man's in this? Because, I was not, so I was like
Sure.
14, 92, 90, or 13, 14. So I put that in and I was just like, this is not He-Man. This is not Bruce Lee. What is happening here? And my mom came in and was like, what the hell are you watching? I was like, you rented it. I don't know. I'd be glad the
on you.
church kids didn't see it. And that was so forever. I was like, okay, this is one of my favorite movies of all time now because I've seen this in should not have seen it at that time. So yeah, great stuff. But so this is another one of those movies where it would have been like, oh, I shouldn't have seen that, but I did. And it informed a little bit. Like this is probably the reason why I guarantee this and American Ninja and some are why I love swords, why I love the Beastmaster, because that sword is fucking cool too. It's like a
100%.
samurai, but like a scimitar type sword. It's a cool amalgam of both. And seeing that movie and this, both PG, mind you. Remember, this is when fantasy could be way more risque. And in Beastmaster, there's actually boobies in it. Because I remember seeing that and going, I wasn't supposed to see that.
Yeah, Tanya
I'm
Roberts.
gonna watch it again. Yeah, Tanya Roberts. Twice.
Yeah, which is funny because I had a friend in college who had a ferret named Poto after the Beastmaster ferret.
If I ever, how could you name a ferret anything else if you were to get one? I'm like, I did have a friend who named his like something like Fido or something. I was like, you moron, it's Kodo or Poto.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we get that horn rip-off thing is gnarly.
You see
And
veins,
you see all those weird veins and like sinews
And the oozing
Mhm.
and all the different colors of ooze. They were really generous with
that they were.
with the fluids.
Yeah, the slime budget for this movie, for this sequence alone, is like probably half the budget of the $18 million, and the other half was spent on Arnold. Although I guess technically Arnold, they could have bought like just a batch of ooze, and Arnold could have used part of it as like body grease, and then you added the green
maybe he
food dye
did.
to the rest of it. For the because I mean the monster we talk about, the monster is kind of shiny too, so maybe they grease up the monster, they grease up Arnold, and then they keep a little bit of the grease to the side. They throw some green food coloring in it, so you get some horn removal slime.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ugh, terrible. Like
I love the horn removal slime.
one of the like most traumatic thought patterns I had as a child was like the thought of getting something like ripped off of my face and like having it pull away like the horn pulls away in this movie, because I don't know, there's something wrong with me. I also
Like a piece of skin or your nose or
yeah, like if
Okay,
you grabbed me by the nose and ripped my nose off, then I feel like it would have a similar like tearing sequence to
yeah.
the tear of this movie.
It probably wouldn't be green though.
No, it would be, well, I don't know. I've got a lot of, I have a lot of sinus problems, so there would definitely be some green there too.
Maybe.
When I was junior in high school playing basketball, I got my nose broken. And Christmas, the day after Christmas, I had to have surgery on my nose. And I woke up and I looked across from me, and another woman had surgery, and there was so much gauze and stuff shoved up her nose. All I could think of was this movie, and like the because it look, you couldn't see where her nose was, and because there's so much stuff up in it. And I immediately looked up and or felt up. I was like, oh, thank God, because I could still feel where my nose was. Because I was like, I don't want the vision of that much stuff in my nose and then having to like just pull it out or something. I don't know if it was
That's
a
sounding
total,
very Total
total
Recall.
recall moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, this movie, because I remember that little like what looked like an orb or a bone when he's pulling the like horn off
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
the ooze starts coming out, and I was just like, oh, thank God, because I was just like, oh, it didn't have to be that bad. I just had to have gauze under my nose because I was supposed to let it drain. You couldn't
it
blow
was
your nose
so-
or anything else like that. Ugh.
It was so good though. The monster thing, not your nose draining. I'm sure that was great, but
It was fantastic. I got to
Um,
have popsicles. I went through 2 boxes in like a day and a half, and my face was frozen, so nothing ever drained. So I was fine.
perfect. But the monster nose coming off and then that didn't kill him, right? Keep me honest here. Pulling the horn off didn't kill him, but it made the monster easier or made Conan able to kill the monster. Am I reading that correctly?
That's how I've
'Cause, like,
always read it.
Okay. Because, like,
Yeah.
he kind of died, but he didn't die. They had to re-stab him. And then, of course, Malik came at the very end with his, like, little monster's already dead, 2 dagger stab. and-
Anything that big and gross, make double sure, right? Make
That's
triple
true.
sure.
You got to double
Yeah.
tap. for sure.
Zombieland, you definitely
You're,
got
Yeah.
to double
you're not
tap.
Gotta
letting
double
that
tap.
linger, right?
No.
Coup de
No.
grace for sure, for sure.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
we even forgot to mention when the monster has fully turned in the monster and they haven't killed her yet, the queen tries to pull the princess in
Oh,
front of her, and then
yeah.
she gets horned in the gut and just
Yeah, she
thrown
does.
around like a rag doll. I was like, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get for
Yeah, for trying to sacrifice
your own niece.
virgins.
Yeah, your
And-
virgin niece. And you dressed her in those kind of dresses. How dare you?
Dressed her in those clothes.
Yeah, now that we know how old she actually is, Carmelita, the whole she has to remain a virgin thing is really
I'm
kind of
so sorry I did this to you.
like it's like the antithesis of the Virgin Connie Swale in the Dragnet movie from 1987. How it's like she's a virgin and she's like 30. That's you know that's
Or
that's
like-
one thing, but like she's a virgin and she's like 13. What's wrong with her? What is the deal with this society in this
I don't know.
in this
Or
movie? Like,
Monster Squad. Is she a version?
oh, we'll get to the Monster Squad. That is on our short list for this year.
Oh.
As a treat for Lindsay, the Monster
Nice.
Squad superfan.
Oh,
I
sweet.
love Monster
I love it
Squad.
too. If you ever want, if you need them, you need somebody else to chat, I will gladly talk about Nards all day long.
I was gonna say Wolfman's
It's
definitely got nards.
I've been quoting that for 30 years.
I have a Stephen King Rules T-shirt, the red one with the yellow.
Yeah.
That wow, the name escapes me, but that the kid in the movie wears.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh my God. Yeah, it's escaping me too.
I keep
Oh,
wanting to say Mikey,
Lor-
but it's
Lor-
not it.
Lawrence. No, yeah, because he's this. Remember, he cocks the
No,
gun and
Lawrence.
says
Yeah, no, that's Horace. My name
Horace,
is
yes.
Horace, but no, not him, not Fat Kid. The other kid, the one with the little sister.
no. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I've forgotten that as well.
Yeah. Good. We're in good company. But yeah. Well, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Oh, we
What
were.
led us down
We
this
just, yeah. He in turn stabbed it, and then it cuts to the end where. Like
Which is
where she's asking everybody to be on her court, and then they
Yeah,
turn to Conan. He's just like, okay,
It's
Yeah.
basically the end of it's basically like Wizard of Oz.
yeah.
The
Or,
Star Wars.
or Return to Oz or
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's not like Star Wars. I mean, it's okay.
Well, in the
Well,
sense
I
that
mean-
everybody shows up and gets a medal or something.
Yes,
That's
everybody-
true.
Each person gets recognized in turn for their role
True,
in the
true.
team.
Yep. And then I do love that they always turn to Conan.
It would be like in Star Wars, though, if at the end Princess Leia was like, "And Chewie, we're gonna get married."
Right.
Chewie got his damn medal. I don't care. Yeah. So, and then she goes up to Conan. She's like, "Rule with me," and he's like, "I have my own kingdom." And then she gives him like the weirdest, most awkward kiss. And I'm glad it was awkward because now that we know,
Yeah.
would have been weird because Arnold.
Yeah, he doesn't kiss her
Conan's
back.
he's just like, okay. He's like, "I'll let you." All right. You've been wanting to do this for an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, and you're
so,
a queen, right? You can't
Yeah.
refuse the queen.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think so.
You can't manhandle the queen to be like, "Excuse me, you're a child, get off me." But you can refuse
Standing there
to
all
kiss-
stoically
to kiss
in-
back, right? So
Standing there in your furry underwear. Yes.
Yeah, it's really funny that she basically turns to Conan and is like, "Put out or get out." He's like, "I guess I'll get it."
I guess I'll get out.
And then he just turns and kind of walks off. And
Yeah.
then we have another cool image of bearded older Conan that we've never gotten. And I'm so mad and upset.
No, I'll be on my deathbed.
Oh, yeah, me too. I'm like, it's still
saying,
going to
like,
happen.
You,
King Conan's going to happen one
you
of
owe
these
me
days.
King Conan. I can't go now.
Maybe by the time Patrick Schwarzenegger's old enough, he could be King Conan.
Maybe I don't know.
Arnold could
Sure.
still do it. I don't
He
see why they
could.
don't.
I'm just saying.
He's got the beard all the time now. Just put the wig on. Whatever.
Yeah,
just
I
do
don't.
it.
I just don't think Arnold wants to do it at this point. I think he's
Yeah.
like, I think if they'd gotten to him in like the late '90s or
Or
early 2000s,
Or
Yeah.
he would have gone for it.
or even when he had his little comeback with like The Last Stand and like
Yeah.
Sabotage, I think he would have done
Mhm.
it then too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that ship has sailed. I think that is a tale that will not be told.
Unless,
I
of
do-
course, you count that Kevin Sorbo movie as canon, which I don't.
No.
Yeah, Kroll. No, I mean, sorry, Cole. I don't want to besmirch the epicness that is Kroll.
No, I love
Misspoke.
Kroll.
Sorry, so do I.
I do like Queen Jenna
Yeah,
choosing her, her whatever a royal version of a cabinet is, like her.
Her court.
her court.
Yeah, her court.
Her
Thank you.
round table almost.
I
yeah.
Yeah.
like her choosing her round table and Malik as the fool.
Yes.
I'm told every queen needs a fool.
He's like,
She says,
that's
"Am I-
me."
Am I
He's more than
qualified?
And her perfect delivery of
Yeah.
more than qualified. He's
Yeah.
just like- and that's the one that Conan could not shake his head or nod fast enough when he's like, "Can he?" Go,
Go
just
for it, Betty.
Yeah.
go. Been waiting for this moment for what could have been years. He's like, "I'm gonna go find Subutai, and he and I are gonna go kick ass, and I'm gonna become king by my own hand. Not with you, Malik, because that'd be impossible. Because I'd be having to pull every body that you kill and fall on top of you off."
It's
Ugh.
weird that he's like mostly incompetent as a fighter, and yet he still kills like 10 people.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
you
he's
throw
like the
enough
Daniel
darts,
LaRusso.
eventually you're gonna hit the
Right.
board.
Right.
You're gonna hit the
That's
board
a good
occasionally.
point.
Yep. And if you stab people up close with small knives in the kidneys, you're gonna get a lot of death. So yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. So yeah, awesome movie. Not
Yeah.
the best, but awesome.
Yeah, it's a huge regret that we never got that King Conan movie. And
Yeah.
I feel like his Arnold's general ambivalence towards / active dislike of Dino De Laurentiis has something to do with that.
Yeah.
Do you think it could be made with a Conan that isn't Arnold?
I mean,
Ooh.
I honestly don't want Jason Momoa's King Conan. Although, you know what? Maybe I do, because Momoa is not the problem. It's all everything else around him in that movie is a problem. But I think I could if it was done right, and if it was done to honor what story came before and tell something. I possibly.
I no.
You just have to
For
be the
me-
right actor.
For me, it's got to be
Yeah.
Arnold.
Mm.
If Arnold's not on board, it's just not Conan to me.
What if Arnold had like a cameo?
No.
I'd rather him either be involved or not be involved at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know what? Make it an animated movie. Then we don't have to worry about
There's
you
that.
know, and I could get behind that even more because
What kind of
make it-
animation are we talking? Pixar or classic?
Oh, I
Like
want classic, like hand
Yeah.
drawn looking stuff. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
Conan as Pixar. Yeah, I want it to look like a Barry Windsor Smith drawing come to life, but like make it look like Arnold, so it's all kind of scratchy and sketchy. Yeah.
You
Do
can
like Secret of the Nymph, but
Oh,
like you can
Sword in the
Conan.
do
Stone.
you
Yeah.
can do CGI
Yeah.
as long as it looks like Frank
Oh, yeah.
Frazetta.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct. Yes. Remember, weren't the Wachowskis supposed to do a Conan? Remember they talked about doing one, and they had like, I swear I there was like a picture going around of some actor who was made up to look like a Frank Frazetta
Mm.
Conan, like with the nose and the bangs, haircut,
Uh-huh.
which is definitely popular again. They could pull that off. But yeah,
Mm.
I you know what? I think I'd be more for a different, more adult take of Conan again, because the Jason Momoa one again, not exactly what I kind of wanted. They tried to have their fantasy cake and their sword and sandals and eat
Sure.
it too, and it just didn't quite work. So
Well, maybe one day. Maybe one day. You never know.
Yeah, but if the Wachowskis can't get it get it off the ground, that their Conan movie off the ground in like 2000, who's going to be able to get it off the ground now?
true.
Right.
At the height of their power, yeah, exactly.
Hey, it's 2025. There are people up and coming that we've never even heard of. You never know.
That's true. You're right. Anything could happen.
Look, we got a lot of years left, people.
You're right.
It
We don't
could
want to put
happen.
ourselves in the grave this quick.
It could happen. Well, on that note, since I think we're pretty much done discussing most of the things we can possibly discuss about this movie, so I think it might be time for popcorn ratings. Carmelita, would you like to lead us off with that?
Yeah, so I'm giving this a medium, and I thought about saying it should be like cheddar popcorn because it's kind of cheesy, or kettle corn for the kiddies.
Sure.
Oh.
But yeah, it's a medium for me. Even as a kid, I always preferred the more adult stories. I wanted to watch what the adults were watching. I didn't want to watch kid movies. I want to watch adult movies. So I do have a nostalgic place in my heart for this. There are some great set pieces. Again, Grace Jones and Mako are amazing. And Arnold is too. I wish that he got to do more, which is kind of crazy to say in a Conan movie. But it is fun, and you can watch it with the kids. So, have a medium kettle corn.
All right, Andy.
Okay. The 9-year-old Andy that bought this VHS at the Christmas Bazaar will not allow me to go anything smaller than a large, not an extra large, but a large. And I would say, just regular popcorn. Doesn't have all the fix, doesn't have all the butter and salt on it, but it's a decent popcorn, large popcorn that you can enjoy. And yes, you can watch this with the kiddos. I have showed mine Barbarian when they were way too young to see it, but I had to. It's one of those things as a parent where I was like, am I doing the right thing? I'm like, guys, cover your eyes for just a second here. Or I did quickly fast forward the witch scene. That's because it's a little much. But so yeah, I would say a large popcorn and a nice
Solid.
little cherry Coke to go, or a Dr. Pepper Zero cherry to go with it.
All right, Ron.
I'm going to join Andy with the large popcorn. I still had a lot of fun with this movie. I see more of the flaws now as an adult.
Yeah.
Some of the things that worked better for me, 30 years ago don't work as great now. But also I see growth in Schwarzenegger as the Conan character, growth of him as like a dramatic actor compared to the first one. He's still got that natural charisma. He's got some great visually interesting, these aren't problems that he can just stab. These are problems that he has to think through, and that's an interesting wrinkle to add to the character.
Yep.
And one that Schwarzenegger's more able to portray now than he was in the first movie. So I'm gonna go with a plain large popcorn.
Nice.
So I'll join Andy there in the plain large popcorn club. Maybe a little drizzle of maybe the butter flavored oils, which you use to pop the kernels in, so you get a little bit of that butter taste. But
I'm with
not
you there.
not as good as like the go up to the pump with the straw and make sure you pump it down the straw so it gets into the middle of the thing, and you got the reservoir of butter at the bottom. It's not quite up to that standard. It's definitely on an extra large popcorn, but it is a solid and satisfying large popcorn. There's enough cool stuff in this movie to outweigh its flaws to me. Lindsay, what do you say?
I think I liked it as much, maybe a teeny bit less, but it very close to as